Friends. Hollywood may look glamorous on the outside, but behind the lights and the cameras, it hides some of the darkest secrets. Tonight, I'll tell you the story of an actor whose death shocked everyone. His name was David Bacon, a rising star. But the truth is, David Bacon was not who he appeared to be, and his death remains one of Hollywood's most haunting mysteries. So let's find out. Who was David Bacon really? And what deadly secret was he hiding? On the surface, David looked like the perfect Hollywood gentleman. He was handsome, charming, and married to a famous singer, Greta Keller. But behind that polished public image was a hidden life. Think about it. A coded diary, a secret apartment near Venice Beach, women's purses and a blouse found inside that apartment, and mysterious men visiting him. Clearly, David was living a double life, one that he couldn't share with his wife or the world. And this is where the real secret comes out. Back in 1939, David had been arrested for a homosexual advance. In the 1940s, homosexuality was not only taboo, it was illegal. So many believe his marriage to Greta Keller was what's called a lavender marriage, a cover to protect his public image. His coded diary, his Venice Beach meetings, and the men connected to his private life all point in one direction. David was gay, but forced to live in secrecy. And in 1940s Hollywood, being exposed could end a career, or worse. That's why David needed codes, lies, and secret hideouts. And then came September 12, 1943. Witnesses saw David near Venice Beach, driving with other people in his car. Moments later, his car suddenly went out of control and crashed. When people rushed to help, they found David bleeding heavily, gasping for life. But here's the twist. His shorts had sand on them, suggesting he had been at the beach. There was a robe, completely soaked in blood. Inside the car, a strange sweater with blonde hairs stuck to it. And yet, nothing was stolen. His wallet and valuables were untouched. This wasn't a robbery. This was personal. So what really happened that day? The strongest theory says David picked someone up at Venice Beach, maybe for a secret meeting. Something went wrong. A fight broke out. David was stabbed. Somehow, bleeding and in shock, he tried to drive away. Witnesses said there were others in the car, meaning the attacker could have been riding with him. When the crash happened, the killer may have slipped away in the chaos. That's why David's driving was so erratic. He was mortally wounded, fighting for his life behind the wheel. Now here's where the story gets clouded by myths. If what look at sources like Wikipedia, you'll find claims that don't hold up. First, that David was a U.S. Navy pilot. In reality, no military records exist. Amongst experts agree it was just Hollywood publicity spin to make him look like a war hero. Second, that Greta Keller had an affair with bandleader Artie Shaw, then that this drove David into despair. But that doesn't check out either. Greta was 5 months pregnant at the time and had a solid alibi. There's no real evidence of any affair. These myths try to frame the case as a typical jealousy crime of passion. But the real evidence points somewhere completely different, to David's hidden life. So friends, here's the most plausible theory. David Bacon was secretly gay. He used his Venice Beach trips and secret apartment to meet men, far away from the eyes of Hollywood. But on September 12, 1943, one of those meetings turned fatal. Maybe it was a blackmail attempt. Maybe an encounter that spiraled out of control. Whatever the reason, David was stabbed, left bleeding, and died in a crash that looked accidental, but was anything but. Even after 80 years, the case remains unsolved.
But one thing is clear. David Bacon didn't die because of a love triangle. He died because society forced him to live in shadows. So what do you think? Who killed David Bacon, and will we ever know the truth? Or will it remain one of Hollywood's darkest secrets?